Hi everyone, and welcome to my sewing room. If you have a brand new Stelaire or you just haven't learned how to use it, make sure that you stay and watch this video. We're going back to basics and we're going to learn a little bit about the Stelaire app. I'm Rosemary, and this is Enchanted Rosemary Sewing and Embroidery. Okay, so as I just said, we are going to go back to basics. I'm going to do a video on the most basic part of PE design software, and that will be probably on the next video, so make sure that you watch it. But today we're going to kind of play around with the app a little bit. I got a new camera, and so now I can actually hold my phone and use the app and use the camera at the same time. So I think we can do a couple of different things with the app in doing that. Before we go to the computer to play around with the software a little bit. How do you like my hair? Every time you see it, it gets shorter and shorter. I do have to give you a little bit of a warning though. I've got a video that's going to go up really soon here. So I wanted to do a video on the scan and cut. I wanted to show you how you can actually do vinyl, and we did that video probably about 3 weeks ago, my son and I, because we were going to go to Disneyland and we were going to wear look-alike family shirts with Mickey Mouse on them. Unfortunately, I have a lot of arthritis and my knees have been giving me a really bad time, and so I just decided that I wasn't going to go to Disneyland. So when that video comes out, one, my hair is longer, and two, I'm not in the picture of everybody wearing their matching shirts because I didn't go to Disneyland. They're there right now, and I'm hoping to get that on the YouTube in the next couple of days. I don't actually know whether this one will go up first or that one, but you'll notice a definite difference in my hair. And I have to give you a warning that my hair is probably going to get even shorter. I've been just kind of playing around with some different looks that I can do with it. But I really do like my new camera. It's a webcam. I admit that even though I do software and I play around with the Stelaire, I don't know a whole lot about technology, and I have a little bit of problems with cameras. My son helped me to buy a webcam so that I can watch myself on the computer and film it and transfer it from the camera directly onto YouTube instead of having to do a whole bunch of weird stuff with my phone and everything. So I hope that's going to work. I hope you like it. Make a comment if you see a difference, because I don't know whether it's going to be really different or not. You can notice that I see a lot more behind me here of my sewing machines and stuff, which I think is kind of cool. Okay, so as you probably just noticed, I went out and came back in again, and the day has actually gone by, and I've been trying to do a little bit of stuff with the scan and cut, trying to bring an image into the scan and cut. My initial plan was to bring something from the internet and draw it out and then put it in the Stelaire, but that didn't pan out very good. And then I thought I'd look for a coloring book, and coloring book pages are not what they used to be. And if you can find a coloring book page on the internet and then print it on your printer, that's the best bet to go, because I have bought coloring books at the dollar store and stuff, and most of the time the way that they're printed, they just don't scan as well as you'd like them to, and then you get frustrated with your machine, and the machine does a good job if you have a good image to start with. So we're going to have our fingers crossed. I actually just decided that I was just going to draw a picture. So I drew this little snowman, and we're going to use the app, and we're going to scan him, and we're going to put it in the Stelaire sewing machine, and we're going to see what we can do with that, play around with it a little bit, and hopefully end up with an embroidery design that we can embroider out. And then I will show you how to line it up on your garment so you can sew it out. So I have to move the camera so that I can use my hoop, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the hoop and I'm going to lay this picture right in the hoop, and then hold my phone over it with my app on it, and I want the camera in a place where you guys can see what I'm doing. So let me just do that really quick. Okay, so it took me a few minutes to get the camera set up the way I wanted it to, trying to so that you could see my phone and see the hoop and see everything else. I'm hoping it'll still work okay. So I'm a little bit further away from the camera, but hopefully you'll be able to actually see that hang on just a minute, my phone's going to turn off on me here. You'll be able to see that this is my app, and I'm going to hit my app, and when it first opens, it shows you have three different options. You have the snap camera, you have the snap capture, and the selecting image menus on there. And the menu that we want to do is we want to be in my design center because we're going to be making a picture. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit this one here, and it's going to go into this mode here. And then we have to turn the phone and hold it so it's right over the hoop and actually gets the hoop. Now see, once it's lined up with the hoop, you'll see on the phone it starts to say 3, 2, 1. You got to hold it steady or it won't, it'll actually stop counting. So I'm going to hold it again. Okay, let's see if I can hold it steady. It's going to count 3, 2, 1, and then it's going to say send to machine. And then all you have to do is hit send to machine like that. And it'll take a picture of that picture and send it to your sewing machine. So let's move over to the sewing machine. Okay, I'm hoping that you can see this a little bit better. I'm having some problems with the light trying to get it right on the machine without reflecting on the screen. So I think we got it in a good place where you can see it. And I am using a mouse. I've told you before, I think a mouse works better than you seeing my fingers in here a whole lot, so you can't see what I'm doing. So we are in Design Center, and what we're going to do is on this layer, you have to bring things in a different way. So you've got three little leaves up here. This one is going to bring an image that's in the background, as if I'm going to scan a quilt and do quilting on it. That's just basically a picture that's behind what I'm working on. It won't turn into an embroidery. This one up here is an image, and that's if I want to just turn something into an embroidery by just pushing image and letting the machine do all the work. And this is a line image, and this is what we want. So we're going to click the line image, and then it's going to say, and there is an app guide here that will help you a little bit with the app if you're still struggling with the way it works. But we're just going to hit this saying that we're bringing this in by the internet, and we're going to keep our fingers crossed that this image is the one I just sent to the machine. Voila, it is. And then I'm going to set that down. So there it is, and you can see that I got my cutting mat behind there and the edges of the paper and all that stuff that I don't really want. So I'm going to move these up and over just a little bit and move this over. Now what I did with this when I drew it is I drew it with pencil, and then I went over it with black marker, but it was a very fine tip black marker. If you use a thick one, it's going to pick up gray and all sorts of other stuff, and you're not going to be happy with your results. So use a really sharp tip black marker, or use a ink gel pen, a black ink gel pen. Those work pretty good too. But we're going to make it a little darker and then say okay. And I think I did pretty good with that. I don't see any open parts or anything, but we're going to find out in a minute. There's a line right here, but I'm not concerned about that line. So I'm going to set that down. Now immediately you see this part back up here again. Don't get all freaked out about that. This is showing you your original scan. So if I go this way, it disappears. If I go this way, it actually gets darker and shows more of my original scan. I want it to completely disappear, so I end up with this instead. This little box in here is actually my settings I have on my embroidery machine for the hoop size. So if I go up here and click on this and tell it that I want it to be the 9.5 by 14, which is my largest hoop, that little square will go away. See, it's gone. So don't worry about that either. But we do want to get rid of this part right here. So I'm going to use my eraser and choose the largest square I've got, and then I'm just going to click on it and go across it. I can also use my finger, and that kind of gets rid of it a lot faster. There we go. So that's gone. And then if you really want to check it out, you can hit the plus sign and get up really close and see any parts of it that you may or may not want. I don't know what this is right here. So I'm actually going to erase that. No, it's gone. All the rest of the lines I think I wanted. Now I'm going to move the red box around it. Sometimes there's absolutely no way for you to know that you have that closed until you start filling it. There's really nothing you can do about it. So let's go minus. And I just want my little snowman. And it's normally I would do this in white, but you probably won't see it if I do it in white. So let's just make a blue snowman just so you can see what I'm doing. The first 4 up here on top are your lines. These 4 down here are your fills. So you can start with your lines so that you know what you want the line to look like. If I leave it on default, it's going to do a satin stitch. So I'm going to leave it black. I'm going to say OK, hit pour, and see when it goes click, click? That's saying it already is a satin stitch. And then I'm going to hit next just so I can see what it looks like. Let's hit preview. And I kind of like that as a satin stitch, but if the embroidery design that you're doing is too small and you don't want that thick line around it, change it to a running stitch. It's very easy to do. In fact, I think I am going to change it to a running stitch because I don't like the way these dots came out here. So let's hit return and go back. And I'm going to say, make this a running stitch. Say OK. And then I'm going to hit pour, and every time it goes beep, it's changing something that wasn't changed before. I think it got everything. Another thing you can do is you can hit next. And right here, if I say connect everything, and then say that I want everything to be a running stitch. That obviously is a running stitch. That part right there, that one little piece right there is a satin stitch. So I'm going to hit that and say change that to a running stitch. Okay. I think, whoops, this is a satin stitch right here. So let's just return. And while it's set, I think I got it all. I think it's all been turned into a running stitch. Okay, so now we're going to start filling it with color, which is kind of fun. And you can actually have your kids come and help you do this because it's a really fun thing to be able to do. So let's start with the fill. And this is a fill stitch right here. This is a quilting stitch, and so is this one. And this is do not sew. So I'm going to pick a light blue for my snowman, say OK, hit pour, and this is where we're going to find out if we closed it. See the way that did that? Everything in the background filled. So this button right here is undo, so we can undo that. Then I have to check it and find out where the heck I made a mistake. So let's zoom in and come down here. Up, I think I see it right away, right there. So let's go in a little bit closer. I want to see what I'm doing. This is my pencil right here. So if I hit the pencil and click this, it's going to give me some options. I can draw a straight line, I can draw a closed curved line, or I can just draw a curved line. I want the curved line. So I'm going to say OK, and then I'm just going to move my pencil right here, and I'm going to close that. So that looks pretty good. Now let's move the box down this way. Let's see, if I hit pour and I tap him, nope, I was afraid of that. It still says there's another opening somewhere. So let's go this way. One of the things you can do if you're drawing this yourself is you can accidentally pick up your pen and leave, look right there. So I'm going to hit this, and I'm going to close that. Pour, tap. Aha! Look at that. It worked. So let's zoom back out. There he is. He's all blue. But this part right here didn't come out, right? Because it's probably not connected right there. So let's hit plus. Move this over here. Right there is where I goofed. So I'm going to hit this again, and I'm going to draw a black line right there. And then I think what I want to do is I want to make his scarf red. So I'm going to hit red, say OK, and oh, that's the paintbrush. Make sure you have the pour. Make that red. Make that red. Make that red. Make that red. That looks pretty good. I think I'm even going to make these little tassels red too, but it's always up to you. Then he has a little vest that I've created here. Oh, you know what? This part here shouldn't have been red. Let's see. Let's make the vest. Let's make it dark blue. Say OK. There. And then there's his other vest. And then let's make his hat black. So I'm going to hit black. Move this up. Something didn't work right here. So let's look over this. Aha! Right there. So I'm going to hit the pencil again. See the way it turns gray? It's still black. It's just focusing more on the outline now than it is on the fill. So let's close this. And then let's make this red. Again, it defaults to the brush, which makes me crazy sometimes. But that's okay. We're going to hit pour, and then we're going to fill it in. And it'll be all right. So let's hit minus. I want to bring this to his eyes. So his eyes are going to be black, and I'm going to come in here and pick black, say OK. And I'm going to hit black here, and then black. And I think I don't want these little, whatever they are, pieces of coal or something to be outlined, because sometimes it doesn't look good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say do not sew and say OK. And then I will just, I'm not going to do this one because it's right up against the carrot, and it's probably going to mess with the carrot. So, oh shoot. Let's go back. Undo is your friend, right? So what I did wrong was if you look up here, I have the pencil, and that's why it was making those little dots in the middle of those. I want the pour button chosen, and then when I tap them, you'll actually see those getting lighter, and that way that's telling me that's not going to sew those. And I'll just leave these two outlined so they don't mess with his nose. And then I'm going to come here and make this a kind of a weird gold orange color, and make sure pour is chosen and click on it. And these buttons probably need to be black. Oh, well, let's make them green just for the heck of it. It's another color change, but it's worth it. So let's make that. And then move this down here and do this green. Now you'll notice when I hit minus, that I forgot to do his head. And I forgot to do this little part in his underarm too. So I want to make sure I use the same color so there's not a color change. So that's what this is for. I can hit the eyedropper and click this, and this color will immediately turn to this color, and that way I can fill in his head and this part under his arm. And then I want to do brown for the sticks for his arms, and I'm going to click, oops, undo's your friend, 1, 2. So that looks pretty good to me. I got a little spot right here. I think I'm going to use the eyedropper, turn it to the same color blue, okay, I think what I have to do, excuse me, listen, sneeze. Okay, I'm going to hit plus, and plus again, and I'm going to move this over here, and then see what I did is I made a blop with that paintbrush. I'm going to fill that in. There, that looks pretty good. So let's go back out again. And then let's go to the next spot. Let's see what we got. We're going to hit, I could sit here and go through each one of these and make sure they're all right. But I'm pretty sure I got it good. And one of the ways you can know is to hit preview. And voila, there's my snowman. And the only part I don't like is right here. One of these little tassel things didn't do a good job. And I don't know what I did up here. So let's hit return. First thing I need to do is hit plus and move down here to this tassel, and it's probably one of these. So I am going to say do a running stitch, say okay, and that was the, oops, hit pour. That was the one that was wrong. Okay, so that looks pretty good. The other thing was up here on his face. I don't see anything there that would have done something weird, but I thought I saw something, but I think it's okay. So let's just go minus, minus, and hit next. Oh, there's another thing I want to do. So one of the things I did when I drew this is I put some highlights in his eyes. And I don't know how that's going to work out. When I do it in the software, it's pretty obvious when it's a highlight. But first thing I want to do is tell it to not outline these two dots. And that way, we're going to say do not sew. Okay. Pour. So that's not outlined. And then I'm going to go into here and I'm going to choose white, say okay, and come up here and tap that one and tap that one. That should do a good job in doing this. So return, minus, and hit next and preview. Okay. Okay, I have a confession to make. I have already sewn this out. And you can see over here, here's my little snowman right here. But speaking of that, there's something I need to point out to you, and that is always, always, always save your work. And if you look down here, you have two pockets here. You have one that takes something out of the memory and one that puts it in. You want to, at this point, before you've gone any further than this, you want to put this in the memory and put it in your sewing machine, and it will save it in the machine, and then you'll have it. And that the whole reason for that is when you go to sew this out, if you don't like it, you can go back and fix it. This right here is a working file, and once you go through to the last stop and put it in embroidery, you can't go back and fix anything that's wrong unless you saved it in the memory here. So that is very important to save it in the memory at this point. And what I ended up doing was I ended up changing all of those after all that crazy back and forth, changed them to satin stitching because I didn't like the running stitch around it. The other thing I decided I wanted to do was to make it smaller, and here it is so easy to make it smaller. All you have to do is click on this, and once you click on the box, you can come up here and left click with your mouse and just pull down. That is completely selected now. So, and now suddenly my size and rotate and a couple of other buttons are available to me because it's selected. So now I can hit size and I can bring this down. And I want to make this little because I want to be able to put it on a Christmas stocking. And so let's bring it down so that it actually will fit in my 5x7 hoop. It looks like it's 6.63 by 4x7.2. That's a good size for that. And I'm going to say OK. And then I'm going to hit next. And now I'm in the sew out mode. And this I can click through and see what each one of these is going to do. Now, unfortunately, for some reason, when I hit this, it shows it full black here. But as I go through it, it shows little teeny tiny spots where I've corrected things. And sometimes that happens, and it's just a little bit frustrating, but at least I can go through here and check and make sure that my undersewing is turned on, my pull compensation, and I can actually change the direction of my stitching if I want to change the direction of my stitching. And that's what you do in this part right here, is you just check all your stitches to make sure they're what you want them to be. But then you can always just push preview and OK. It's still all right, even though it says it will not be saved, because I can always go back. Now see right here, this eye is outlined in black and this one is not, and that does not look good. I don't like that at all. So I'm going to hit return again, and then I'm going to hit the pour button, and I'm going to tap a few more times just to make sure that everything is outlined in a satin stitch. And then I'm going to hit next. The other thing I want to do is I actually would like, let's see if I can find the outline here. What the heck? Oh, that's a running stitch right there. So let's hit return. I would like to change my satin stitch. So I'm going to go, and this may take some clicking. I want to make it a little narrower than that. See, it says 0.80. Let's make it 40. Let's hit set. And then I'm going to go through and change this one. This may take a while. I'm trying to find the full outline of him. There it is. That's the full outline. So this one here we're going to make 40. Okay. So, and that looks pretty good. I think everything looks good. So let's go ahead and hit set and preview again and keep our fingers crossed that he looks good. And I need to go back and fix some of these little dots. So let's hit return again. I don't know what I did wrong, but these little dots are not right. So let's hit plus so we can get close. Okay. But I just, yeah. So let's hit next and preview. See what it looks like. That looks pretty good to me. I think he looks really good. So when you know that it looks the way you want it to look, you're going to hit set. And then it's going to warn you again that it's going to convert it. So I probably, after all those changes, should have gone back and saved it in the memory to make sure that I could go back and change it again after I sewed it. So just remember, always go back, hit return, put it in the memory. I like to put it in the memory here while it's still a working file. I'm not going to do it again because I've already saved it several times. Then we're going to hit preview and set. Okay, here's my little snowman. But I wanted to show you something weird that happened when I got ready to sew this out. Okay, I hit embroidery. And once I hit embroidery, I realized that the hat and the face are first. And in software, if you have PE Design, you can change the order, and if you have a Luminaire, you can change the order. But in the Stellaire, you really can't change the order, and I do not want that to sew first. So basically, all I could really do at this point was hit the plus sign and move down. There's his scarf, and there's his the white or the blue or whatever you want to call it, the snow. So I sewed this first, and then I went through all the steps, and I went back and did the black last, and that way the eyes and the mouth and the hat were on top, and it came out a whole lot better. So I wanted to show you that. So I'm going to go ahead and move the camera and show you what we ended up with. Okay, so as you can see, it's a new day. I have a different shirt on. I had to sleep on it a little bit, but I finished up the snowman. I think he came out really cute. I think if I was to do him again, I would go back and kind of play with the thickness of the satin stitch a little bit. I also had a little bit of trouble with it lining up. Sometimes you got to mess with the pull compensation until you get it exactly right, but for what I wanted, I think it came out pretty good. Don't underestimate the value of a really good Sharpie. You can always go back and go over some of those parts that don't line up the way you want them to. But he's a cute little snowman. I put him on a red stocking so that I could make it into a little Christmas stocking for one of my great-grandchildren, and I'll probably even go back and add some more fun stuff to it. So I know I told you that I would show you how to do placement to get it in the right place, but this video is already a little bit longer than I wanted it to be, so I'm going to come back and I'm going to do another one, and we'll go into a lot more detail. Maybe we'll do a Christmas stocking with different layers so that you can see how you can turn it with different ways by using the camera and the snowman sticker, not the snowman embroidery, to line things up. But I hope you learned something today, especially if you've been struggling a little bit with knowing how to use your design center, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.